So I think I accidentally broke my family apart. Let me explain. I 26M got engaged to my beautiful fiancée Olivia 25F 6 months ago. Olivia and I grew up together in the same neighborhood. We went to the same kindergarten and were basically inseparable till high school. We started dating when we were 18 and 17. We were in a long-distance relationship for 4 years when we were both in college, but the moment I graduated, I moved to her city to be with her and started my own business. I had enough of being apart from her during our long-distance phase, and also the timing couldn't be better. We lived together for a year while she finished nursing school and I was working hard to build my business. It took a lot of hard work, but well, business had been good and Olivia just finished nursing school last year and started working as a pediatric nurse. At that time it had been a year of us living together. I finally did what I had always dreamed of doing and proposed to her. Lucky for me, she said yes. Although we got engaged almost 2 years ago, we decided to first save up enough to buy a place of our own before spending money on a wedding because neither of us cared much about a big wedding. Everything was just perfect. It was exactly how I pictured things would be when I was young. We are both making good money and we're hoping that we could get married next year and maybe even start our own family. So yeah, things were going great. I never really thought a joke of all things could potentially ruin my life and turn my family upside down. But that's exactly what happened last week when I made a stupid remark at the family dinner. It was supposed to be a happy occasion. My parents had invited me and Olivia to celebrate their anniversary. They also invited my younger sister Kate, my older brother, Jake, and his wife Rachel. Jake and Rachel have been married for just around a year and a half and are expecting their first kid. I'm saying this now because it is important for you guys to know this before I get into what actually happened. We were all sitting around the table, enjoying the food and the wine, when my dad jokingly asked me and Rachel if we ever planned on getting married or was a permanent engagement of sorts. Before anyone comes at him saying he was being rude, I just want to clarify that my dad is a huge goofball. He has known Olivia since her childhood and already sees her as a daughter-in-law. He knew well enough that there was no question of us not getting married. He was just teasing us as dads do. I laughed, shrugged, and said something like, "Oh, you know, it's a lot of work. Wonder if it's worth it. Maybe we should just call it off and save ourselves the trouble." I meant it as a joke. A harmless joke. I love Olivia more than anything, and I couldn't wait to marry her. I was just trying to lighten the mood, to make everyone laugh. I was also sort of drunk and didn't realize at all that what I said could upset my fiancée. She's usually a very good sport and jokes around with me. But I don't know, it must have come across as mean and she burst into tears. I was horrified. I apologized immediately and told her that I was joking and didn't mean anything and that I couldn't wait to marry her, which is completely true. But she was very upset and ran out to the bathroom. I followed her but she wouldn't open the door. I had to come back to the dinner table and everyone was just horrified. No one finished their dinner. My mom and sister spoke to Olivia and told me she would like some time alone and would be staying over for the night. They said that I should leave and give her some space. I apologized to her again and left feeling really awful about what I just did. My fiancée is the love of my life and hurting her is the last thing I would ever do. I came home and sent her a long text apologizing for what I said and assuring her that I would never say anything like that ever again. I had complete faith in our relationship and knew that although it might take some time, we would get through this and she would forgive me. I went to bed hoping to hear from her in the morning. To say that I could not have imagined how things would actually turn out to be like would be a huge understatement. It was quite late by the time I slept that night and so I also woke up late. I tried to check my phone to see if Olivia texted but saw that it was dead. Of course, I forgot to plug it in before I slept at night. I panicked wondering if I had missed any calls or texts from Olivia while my phone was dead, and the moment I plugged it in I saw that there were dozens of missed calls and texts, not just from Olivia but also from my mom, my dad, my sister, and even my sil. I was terrified. I immediately called Olivia but she didn't pick up, so I called my mom. The moment she picked up she was practically screaming at me asking where on earth I was and everyone has been trying to reach me for ages. I tried to explain that I had just forgotten to plug my phone in but she just told me to not waste any more time and to drive home immediately. I drove faster than I probably ever did and kept calling Olivia on the way but she didn't pick up. This just made my anxiety worse and I kept thinking of the worst case scenarios. Easily the most stressful 15 minutes of my life. I reached home and as soon as I pulled over I could hear screaming. You can imagine the effect that had on me. I ran home and made my way to the kitchen because that's where all the commotion was coming from. The whole family was there. Olivia was looking extremely upset and my mom was screaming at everyone. My sister was the first one to see me and announced it to everyone. When my mom and Olivia saw me, all hell broke down. My mom started screaming at me saying that my stupidity had destroyed this family forever. I was so confused I asked my sister what was going on. She said that I would be better off asking my fiancé. My mom referring to Olivia as my fiancé was odd in itself. She has always been close and affectionate with her and called her Livy. I turned to Olivia and asked her to please tell me what was going on. She said that we should talk in private. My mother had stormed out of the kitchen by then. So Olivia and I went to my bedroom to talk. I was beyond stressed at this point and begged her to tell me what happened. She said that I should just calm down and hear her out. It was too late to calm down at that point. I told her that I was fine and to just tell me what was going on. She took a breath and told me that early in the morning today she heard someone knock on her door, and when she opened it she saw my brother standing there. She was a bit surprised and asked him what's up, and he said he had to talk about something important. She asked what, and he said it would be better if they could talk in private. She agreed and they decided to take a walk together. Now this is where things went wrong. They had just walked around the corner of our block and my brother asked her how she was feeling after all that happened last night. She said that she was fine and that she just had an outburst and had already tried calling me to talk but my phone was off. She said that she was planning to go back home to me after breakfast. My brother looked at her for a bit and then started saying stuff like how he had seen us. By us he meant me and Olivia, for years and always thought that I wasn't kind to her and that she deserves someone who respects her and values her time. Olivia got a little uncomfortable and tried to defend me, saying how I am just goofy at times and joke around, but I love her and would never try to hurt her. My brother interrupted her at that and said that she didn't have to pretend anymore and that she should raise her standards and be with someone better instead of settling for me. She was confused and weirded out and asked him why he was saying all that. He told her that there was no easy way of saying this, but he had been in love with her for years and always hoped that she and I would break up so he could ask her out, and only settled for his wife because we got engaged. Olivia was shocked. She told me that she initially thought that he was joking and laughed, asking him to stop messing around and even asking him if I had set this whole thing up to tease her. When it became clear that this wasn't a joke and that he was being genuine, she was horrified and was watching them from some hidden spot. He told her that he hoped she would think about it and give an answer to him because he wanted to marry her and would never make her wait so long with a ring like I had. He said he had left my Sil and would give her anything she wanted. He even went far enough to tell her that if she wanted to they could elope and start their new life together away from all of us. As expected, she was horrified and told him off, saying he was a monster for doing this to his pregnant wife and that she was disgusted with him. She stormed off and came back to the house. She wanted to quickly say bye to the family and come back to our place. She didn't want to tell anyone in my family about this. But it was already too late for that. Guess who she saw in the house when she was back? My Sil. She was sobbing to my mother and sister, and when she saw Olivia, she got so angry and literally lunged at her and had to be held back by my sister. Pretty dramatic, as you can imagine. Apparently, when she woke up that morning, she saw that my brother wasn't there, and after looking for him around their apartment she found a note on their bedside table. The note was from him and he had written that he was sorry but he couldn't live a lie anymore and had to leave because this could be his only chance to be with Olivia before it was too late. She checked and apparently, he had taken his clothes and some other stuff from the apartment as well. The poor girl was obviously devastated and tried reaching out but realized that he had blocked her. So she decided to check if he was at my mom's place, and just after she reached, she saw Olivia and just went livid. There was a lot of screaming and a lot of name-calling involved. Olivia was called a homewrecker among other things. My mom was incredibly embarrassed and took it out on Olivia and me. My dad tried to calm things down but my mom just told him to not interfere. They all tried to reach me but of course, as luck would have it I was unavailable. My Sil left our house saying that she would never forgive this family because it is because of us that she has to be a single mom now. By that time I had spoken to my mom and was already on my way. Apparently, they had tried to call my brother as well but he was not getting back to anyone. So that's what happened. I honestly was too much in shock to even process all this. For a while, I just stared at her. I don't think I have still processed it honestly. Olivia said that she had tried to explain that she had no clue about all this and this was the first time my brother had said all this. I know for a fact that's true. I can't believe that he had apparently been feeling these things for so long. I know for a fact that's true. I was disappointed and angry at my brother of course, but I was even angrier at my mom and sister for trying to make Olivia for what happened. I mean, I can maybe understand my Sil being unreasonable and blaming her, but it's unfair for everyone to just team up against her when she has done literally nothing wrong and was already feeling bad about the whole thing. I apologized to her for everything she had to hear and for not reaching home sooner. I then told her to go out and wait in the car while I spoke to my mom and my sister. While she was out waiting I tried talking to my mom and sister. My mom was still being incredibly unreasonable and told me that this whole thing could have been avoided if I had just controlled my words and not said that whole thing about calling off the wedding. I can't believe how stupid that is. Anyone with functioning brain cells would understand that I was making a joke. And even if I shouldn't have said that, I don't understand how no one was blaming my brother because no matter what I said or did, he was the one who ruined everything by doing what he did. I told my mom that she has to apologize to Olivia because none of this is her fault and she deserves to be treated with respect. This just made my mom angry and she told me that she would never say a single kind word to her for luring her son and being a homewrecker. I couldn't believe what I was hearing and told my mom to take back what she said. My sister said that there was no way that my brother did this out of the blue and that Olivia must have hinted to him that she wasn't happy with me because why else would he be bold enough to leave my Sil? My mom said that Olivia and I had ruined this family and her chance of being a grandma because my Sil said that she would never let anyone from this family get near her or her future kid ever. I tried to defend myself again and make them see logic but they just told me to get out and never step foot in this house ever again. I was also incredibly angry at their stupidity and decided to leave. I drove home with Olivia. The two of us are still very upset and don't know what to do. I've been questioning myself, and all the things my mom and sister said have been repeating in my head, and I don't even know what to believe anymore. I'm just my mom and sis will get back to their senses and see that they're blaming the only innocent person in this scenario. I have tried to reach out to them, but my dad let me know that none of them wished to speak to me or Olivia anymore. Ida for making a joke? Update 1. I just want to say that I'm really grateful to those of you who support me and think that I did nothing wrong that night at the dinner party. Some of you have also asked questions about why Olivia reacted the way she did after my joke. I didn't want to get into this because that is quite personal, but I've asked Olivia if she was comfortable with this being on Reddit and she agreed. Also, yes, she has forgiven me for my joke. I told her that I know I was a giant douchebag and that I would never say anything like that ever again. Our relationship is as strong as always, and I know we can get through this difficult time together. So here's the thing. Even though Olivia and I had discussed that we would stay engaged for a while and focus on bigger goals such as buying our house before getting married, she was actually starting to get a little insecure about it. Apparently, she had overheard a few of her coworkers gossiping about her and her permanent engagement at work a couple of months ago, and it had made her really upset. She tried to be reasonable and didn't tell me because she knew I would just tell her that we should get married immediately, but in her head, she knew that waiting was the more financially responsible decision. Also, she had full faith in our relationship. But it was still something she was struggling with. I guess my timing was just wrong. She was already a little on edge when my dad made the joke about this being an eternal engagement, but managed to keep her composure. I guess when I said something similar, it was adding insult to injury. She felt embarrassed and hurt, and it just brought her back to the day she heard her coworkers gossiping. I had no clue about all this. I honestly feel like I haven't been a very good partner to her for not noticing that she was upset. We talked about it and decided that we'll actually have a small ceremony sometime within the next 6 months so she never has any anxiety about it. For the past 2 years, we have been talking about having a nice beach wedding once we have our house, but I think it is more important for our relationship to just have a ceremony. With everything that has been going on in the family, planning a wedding sounds extremely draining, but as long as I have her with me, I think I'll be fine. Also, to those of you asking why she stayed at my mom's place instead of going back to the apartment and making me stay home. Guys, my family and I have known this girl for practically her whole life. She has spent countless hours in that house, and my childhood bedroom is practically her spot. She loves my family. Honestly, before that day, if anyone told me that my own mom and sister would turn against her and be so awful to her, I never would have believed them. This whole situation is extremely disappointing and has attacked literally everything I believe in. I'm concerned about my relationship, my family is not speaking to me, and I'm honestly still in the middle of processing what my brother did. Speaking of my brother, he hasn't been in contact with Olivia since that day. He is also obviously dodging my calls. I don't know where he is. I tried to talk to my family about him, but again, no one was willing to speak to me. My dad is trying to stay neutral but doesn't want to make my mom upset. Apparently, she is hysterical about the possibility of not being in her first grandchild's life. My dad also told me that they tried reaching out to my sil, but she made it clear that she was not interested in speaking to any of them. You could have given me a million years to guess, but I never could have guessed that my brother had a thing for Olivia. He is 4 years older than me. The three of us played together as kids. And like I have already said, Olivia and I have been very close literally forever, although we only started dating when I was in my senior year of high school. My brother has always been popular with girls and has had lots of girlfriends over the years, both serious and casual relationships. If he wanted, he could have asked her out before I did, but he didn't. I don't think I have mentioned this before, but Olivia and I took a break of almost a year during our long-distance phase before getting back together. He knew about that and never made a move on her, not even close. So honestly, it is beyond me how he just pulled this stunt out of the blue. I feel absolutely awful about what he did to my sil. Both Olivia and I tried reaching out to her to explain our side of the story, but she absolutely refused to talk to us. So after trying for a few days, we just decided to respect her choice and not approach her anymore. I honestly don't know what to do about this situation anymore. I still believe that my fiancé deserves an apology from my family for everything she had to hear from them, and I will absolutely make sure she gets one. But for now, we have both agreed that it would be better to let things cool off for a bit before starting another fight. Update 2. Hello everyone, sorry for the super late update, but honestly things have been incredibly stressful in my family and I was not in the mental space to update the post. Again, I'm sorry to keep you guys waiting, and appreciate your patience as I share more details about what has been happening in my crazy life. I can't believe I'm writing this, but my brother has returned to his wife. It has been a few weeks since the whole mess started, and apparently, he turned up at his house last night and begged my sil to give him another chance. He said that he wasn't thinking straight and that it was all Olivia's fault. He had the audacity to say that she had been giving him hints for years, and that night it just got to his head and he took that decision without thinking. I don't know how anyone can believe this joke of a lie, but apparently, my sil did. She decided to forgive him. But that's not even the craziest part. The real reason why I am writing this update is because of my family's reaction to the news. Apparently, My Sil didn't want to be a part of the family anymore and wanted my brother to move out to another state and raise their kid away from my family. My brother tried to convince her to change her mind and she agreed. But she had a condition. She said that she never wanted to see me or my fiancé ever again and that she would only allow my parents and sister to be a part of the baby's life if they all cut me and Olivia out of the family forever. In her opinion, it was fair for her not to want to face the people who caused her so much pain. My brother broke the news to my family and I am genuinely upset to say that they chose him and their future grandkid over me. My mom and sister aren't even speaking to me. It was my dad who drove over to my place to break the news. I tried to defend Olivia and I, but my dad just told me to let it be and not to make matters worse than they already are. The disappointment I feel towards my whole family cannot possibly be described in words. This was just a few days after my last update. It has been a couple of weeks since then. Olivia and I have been going through a rough patch. Despite my best efforts to reassure her that none of this was her fault, she still feels guilty about me being cut off from my family. Honestly, I could not care less about that at this point. More than anything, I am angry at them for being such cowards and proudly choosing the worst possible stance on this. I've tried to put all of this behind me, but I just can't seem to do it. I've been trying to think of ways to get back at them despite Olivia telling me that I should move on. Let's see, maybe I will come up with something. At the very least, I want to teach my brother a lesson. Update 3, I've got an interesting update for you guys. As I have already mentioned in my last update, Olivia and I have been really upset about how my family is trying to deal with this whole incident. It is clear that my brother only returned because he realized that Olivia would never even think of being with him and he had nowhere else to go. We don't blame my Sil, of course. It must be daunting to even think of being a single mom. But we also know that it isn't fair to her at all. So amidst all this turmoil in the family, Olivia and I made up a daring plan to expose my brother's true nature. It was a risky move, but one we were willing to undertake for everyone's best interest. I had no doubt that my brother was the same person who didn't hesitate to leave his pregnant wife for his own brother's fiancée. It was impossible that he had a sudden change of heart. And well, if he truly did regret what he did and was a better man now, he would just prove it. So the plan revolved around Olivia feigning interest in my brother, luring him into a trap, and finally exposing him in front of everyone the way he deserves to be. The biggest risk was, of course, that my brother would see this coming and tell his wife and my family that it was really Olivia who made him act this way and lied about everything. But well, no one was on our side anyway. So we had nothing to lose and everything to gain. We were really nervous. But Olivia was determined to see it through. The plan was that she would show up at my brother's workplace during lunch hour, tell him that she had made a terrible mistake, and bring him to a restaurant to talk about their future. My part in this whale plan was to make sure my Sil was also there in the restaurant waiting to catch him in the act. I knew that even though it was almost guaranteed that my brother would follow Olivia to the restaurant, I would have a hard time making my Sil even hear me out. But well, we had to give it a shot. We went the whole 9 yards too. Olivia took off her engagement ring to be fully convincing. As expected, my brother folded instantly. All it did was show up and fake some tears and sincerity. She told my brother that she was just scared to admit the truth and had finally gotten the courage to leave him, showing him that she was not wearing her engagement ring. Any doubts, he had disappeared after that. Surprisingly, I also did not have a hard time convincing my Sil to come with me. I think that in her heart the poor girl knew the truth the whole time. We waited at the restaurant and sure enough, Olivia came in with my brother. The aftermath was spectacular. My Sil confronted him in public, screamed, and threw a drink at him. My brother looked like he was living his worst nightmare, which was probably this exact scenario. He got super angry at Olivia and started shouting at her, but that's when I stepped in. I had enough of this guy disrespecting her. Nothing a solid punch can't fix, I would say. I walked out with my Sil and Olivia and we drove straight to my mother's house. We told her everything and after a few moments of disbelief, my mom broke down and apologized to Olivia and me for everything she had said in the past. My sister did the same and I'm so grateful to say that I have got my family back. In the aftermath of all this, my brother is left to face the consequences of his actions. We have made it clear to both him and my Sil that he is not welcome in this family anymore, but she and her future child will always be family. My Sil is a wonderful woman and she deserves to be with someone who cherishes her. I know for a fact that she will find that someone. Olivia and I have assured her that we will be there for her and my future niece or nephew and try our best to make sure she never feels alone or overwhelmed. She is still pretty shaken, to be honest. We all are, but I am sure we will all be better with time.